How is that some people achieve so much in 24 hours while others don't when we have the same 24 hours? The question is, do we actually have the same 24 hours? What is the key differentiator? Is it the motivation or is it the discipline? Because everyone knows about to-do lists and calendars, and if it's the common knowledge, then what is separating the people who achieve so much versus people who are always stuck between their to-do lists? Because the thing is, if you want to be in the top 1% of achievers, you cannot do the things that 99% of people are doing. That is how success works. So in this video, I wanted to share what I've been experimenting for years that finally helped me, a diagnosed ADHD master procrastinator, to grow a 1.4 million YouTube channel, retire my parents at 21, learn 4 different languages, get in shape while still sleeping 8 hours every single night. Here's what actually nobody talks about. Every productivity video starts with methods, systems, like time blocking, task management, time management, blah, blah, blah. But actually productivity doesn't start there. The real question is, how do you get into the mood to get things done? Because you can have the perfect system, the perfect plan, the perfect to-do list, but if you can't get yourself to start, then actually none of that matters. This is what I call the activation energy problem, and it's the ignored foundation that determines whether anything else works. So let me break down the 3-part framework that changed everything for me. The biggest lie in productivity, in my opinion, is that the hard work is the hardest part. It's not. Getting started is the hardest part. And most people try to solve this problem with discipline and motivation, but it doesn't work. You already know that, especially if you have ADHD. So here's what actually worked for me. And this is going to sound weird, but hear me out, okay? Morning light therapy. I'm an absolute night owl. I've been always a night owl, and it used to take me hours to wake myself up in the morning. And in those first few hours, I couldn't perform at all. Like in the mornings, my brain was just foggy all the time. And this fogginess always would lead me to procrastinate during the day, like to doom scroll and then pull an all-nighter to finish and catch up with my deadlines. And normally, like my energy would peak around 9 p.m. to around like midnight, which is terrible if you want to have a decent social life, right? So I basically got one of those like 10,000 lux light therapy lamps, and every single morning I sit in front of it for 20 minutes while eating my breakfast. And interestingly though, this is actually way more powerful than coffee. So basically how the protocol works is that you wake up, and within 30 minutes of you waking up, you go and sit in front of the light for 20 to 30 minutes. You can do something like you can read a book, or you can eat your breakfast, or you can just like sit in front of it. And then when you do that every single day, it resets your circadian rhythm because it mimics the sun. So it wakes up your body. And when you do that, it gets way easier to sleep at night, and you just like naturally shift your circadian rhythm to earlier, and it helps you to wake up during the same time every single day. And because it's also waking up your brain and your body, it gets way easier to actually tackle tasks in the morning. So it really like lifts up that brain fog that you have in the morning. So if you're like always groggy in the morning, and if you always think like, I don't want to do things, then this actually morning light therapy really helps me. Like no matter how much coffee I would drink, it would not energize me at all. It would not help me with my brain fog. It would just like calm me down. I'll be just like more chill if I drink coffee. But after I started doing this, like literally my brain gets activated, and I'm way more energetic, and I'm way more ready to tackle the tasks that I have in front of me. I'm not sponsored or I'm not affiliated at all, okay? I just saw Brian Johnson was using it, and I tried it and absolutely love it. Like for years I struggled with being a night owl and always like being able to focus at 9 p.m. to midnight and messing my circadian rhythm. But this one thing like shifted things completely. So give it a try. But now, because I'm resetting it and activating my brain with light, it's way easier to get into the mood to do things in the morning. But even like with better energy, I still struggled with task switching. Basically, task switching is shifting your brain to do the next thing. And for me, going from my morning routine to actually shifting to the work mode was quite difficult. So now I use what I call the physical activation hacks to reduce that friction. So the hack 1 is kitchen table setup. I put my laptop on my kitchen table the night before. So after I eat breakfast, like while getting the light in, I have my laptop in front of me so that I can immediately start working right from like my kitchen table. And even though like a lot of people argue that you should separate where you eat and where you work, For me, separating the work area means that if I enter and sit down to my desk, I have to work. So my brain thinks like, oh my God, it's work time and I don't want to do it. It just feels like too difficult for some reason. But if I put my laptop to my kitchen table, I can like eat my breakfast. And while I'm eating my breakfast, I open my laptop and I slowly start checking my emails and slowly start doing the task. It's almost like I'm tricking my brain that we're not working yet. We're just checking emails. We're just checking the to-do list that we have for today. And once I get into the flow, I start to tackle more and more work. And once I'm in the mood for working, then I take my laptop and I actually sit down at my desk and I start working. And to be honest, this helped me to reduce this anxiety around starting work and reducing that activation energy so much. And the solution number 3 is planning the day before. So if I don't plan the day before, I automatically assume I have all the time in the day. And then I just like start to procrastinate. If the instructions are not clear enough for that day, and if I don't know them clearly, I just do the most random things that I can possibly do. Like I cannot tell you how many times I rearranged this room, like the furniture that I have in this room, for absolute no reason. Like why? I don't know. But if I know exactly what I need to get done for that day, like specifically, right, like everything in my mind, and if I can see it visually, it completely changes my mindset around what I need to be doing. So every night before I go to sleep, I use Kaizen on my iPad and I spend like 5 to 10 minutes just brain dumping everything that I need to do tomorrow. And I have a rough structure of what I need to be doing tomorrow. If you're someone who wakes up every day and feels overwhelmed by their to-do lists, and also you know what you need to do, but for some reason can't get yourself to start and just execute on that task, and like create this elaborate plans and never follow through and just like abandon them, then I want you to check out my system, Kaizen. I build it from scratch to help people just like you. I literally even use AI to code some parts of it. Why should you care about my Kaizen system? Because everything I'm teaching in this video is already built and ready to use, so you don't have to figure it out yourself. This system saves you hours every week fighting decision fatigue and gives you back control in your life. When you get the system, what you get is 2 modes. So we have simple mode and advanced mode. And the great thing about it is that this Kaizen system is hosted in Notion, but you might not be familiar with Notion, or maybe you don't like Notion that much, right? So we have a simple and advanced version where you can start with the simple version if you're overwhelmed or if you're not sure to use Notion. It's very simple and it's straight to the point, and I have a detailed guide on how to use it. And once you are comfortable with the system, you can switch to the advanced version. And both of them are synced, so you never lose your information. And when you get the system, you get lifetime updates as well as detailed guides on how to use it so that you don't feel stuck and you abandon a complete system. And not only that, you also get lifetime access to our Discord community where you can ask questions to me personally, by the way, about ADHD, about Notion system, and you can also get help when you're stuck with the system or don't know how to figure out a specific thing that you want to do. My favorite part about the system is that the weekly review that shows you how you're performing compared to last week to see your progress. You can literally see visually how you're doing and whether you're improving or not and how to improve, because Kaizen system gives feedback and analysis based on your inputs. So if you're interested, go to ruriohama.com. The link is also in the description below, and Black Friday sale is now live. So use the code Black Friday at checkout. But heads up, this discount is only valid for the first 100 people. So if you're watching this and if you're early, it's still available. Links in the description below. And thank you for supporting my mission to help people get out of this procrastination cycle and this like guilt cycle. Okay, so now your energy is on, you're activated, and you're ready to get some work done, right? But actually the thing that we need to think about right now is that if everyone has the same 24 hours, you cannot compete on how much things you get done. Some people have teams, there are organizations, and also they have resources so that they can delegate things to other people. So you cannot really compete on quantity alone. So instead of focusing on how much things you get done, because there's endless things that you can get done, doesn't it make more sense to focus on what you actually put your energy to? Because the more I study successful people, the more I look at people I admire, I realize something like, sure, they're getting a lot of things done, but what they're focusing on is more important than how much they are doing. And there's actually a concept for this, and it's called signal versus noise. I actually heard this like from Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank, and he shared this, that Steve Jobs had a unique ability that very few people understood back then.
That very few people focused on back then in the early 90s, of signal to noise ratio.
Essentially, signal is the top 3 to 5 things that you must get done in the next 18 hours. It's not even 24 hours or like this week or this month. It's just like the top 3 to 5 things that you need to get done while you are awake this day. And the noise is essentially anything that stops you from doing those things. So everything in our life actually falls into one of these categories. It's either a signal or it's a noise. That's it. And understanding this actually fundamentally changes how you look at things that are happening around you. Because like we often get overwhelmed by the amount of the things that we have to get done, right? Like we have so many responsibilities. But when you think about it from the signal versus noise perspective, actually your to-do list becomes incredibly simple. You look at your list and identify the top 3 to 5 things that you must get done today, and the rest of it is just noise. So they're not the priority. And Kevin O'Leary said in the podcast that Steve Jobs had this like 80 to 20% ratio. So 80% of the things that he was doing were signal and 20% of them were noise. And he also said that there's only one person he knows who does 100% signal, 0% noise, and that's Elon Musk.
And the only other person that I've seen that has a higher ratio than that is Elon Musk.
This is Elon Musk.
But obviously he also says that like that comes with sacrifices, right? Because 0% noise actually means no social life, no family time, no other things, just pure focus on mission. But anyway, here's why it actually matters. Because life is actually a zero-sum game. There is finite amount of things that we can be doing, but things happen and distractions happen and you drift into the noise. And at the end of the day, like we feel lost. You might have a very busy day, but when you sit down at the end of your day, you might realize that you actually didn't get anything meaningful done. Because actually being busy and getting things done are two completely different things. You can be checking off your to-do list, right? Like 100 to-do lists from your list. But if none of them are top priorities, then does it actually matter? Now, understanding the signal versus noise concept can be quite difficult because it's quite like abstract and it's not specific enough in my opinion. We all understand the concept of like focus what matters. Like sure, it sounds easy, but how? That's the part that everyone wants to know. So let me show you how I exactly apply this in my life using what I call the Kaizen log. That's something that I do every single day. So our first step is brain dump. Every single morning when I wake up, I start my day with this thing called brain dump. Because like when I wake up, I don't know, maybe this is because I have ADHD, but there are like so many thoughts fidgeting around my brain. You know, they're just like, it's so loud in my brain when I wake up. Like there are like 5 different people talking at the same time and they're talking about different topics and none of them are listening to each other. So when I wake up, it's just chaos, okay? There's no peace in my mind. The only way that I figured out to solve this chaotic mind issue and this overwhelm is doing a brain dump. Essentially, like I dump everything in my mind to my Notion system first thing in the morning. Some people call this journaling, some people call it something else, but I call it the brain dump. This can be like even negative thoughts, like I need to make more money, or I'm worried about this, or like what if that person is thinking about me this way, or even positive things that you're excited about. Because every single thought can become a distraction. So I sit down and I write down every single thought that I have, every task that comes into my mind, into my brain dump, like literally everything. And when I do this, my mind becomes silent and quiet and I calm down. I am able to see visually what is going on in my head and I stop being so consumed about the thoughts that is happening in my brain essentially. And this actually helped me quite a lot with my major depression. I was battling with major depression for multiple years. So it has been also quite game changer for my mental health. I highly recommend. And I used to do this like on a journal, like a physical paper, and sometimes I would use my iPad. But then like I would never be able to find those notes like ever again, and that would annoy me so much. You know, they would just like disappear into the void. So now I do it in Notion so that I can like search about that idea and find later. And also like in my system, I can turn those brain dumps into tasks, notes, reminders, all on the same page. And it also really like helped me to lift that anxiety of, oh my God, I might forget this thing. And whenever like I skip this practice of brain dump, I realize that I'm way more scattered during the day and I find myself like researching about a random topic that I am not supposed to be researching for some reason to avoid work. So this practice alone, I think like opens up a lot of headspace. And because they're also like saved, you can look at your past logs and you can read them. And sometimes like I write in so stupid stuff and I'm like, what was I even thinking about? But this brain dump is the foundation to figure out the difference between signal and noise. So now everything is out from your mind. The next step that we need to do is identifying the signal. So Kevin O'Leary says, you know, Steve Jobs was doing the top 3 to 5 things. I prefer to go even simpler than that. What I do is that I identify one thing that I need to get done that day. And I call this a daily highlight. I ask myself, what is the one thing that if I get done today would make today a win? Now, like Steve Jobs was a crazy CEO, right? Like he probably had like 100 times more things than I would need to get done. And he was always focused so much on business. But like for me, the daily highlight isn't actually only about work, because I use this system on weekends too. So like I use it every single day. So daily highlight for me can be a task, like work related task, finish the presentation for tomorrow's pitch, or it could be an experience, like have a dinner with a friend I haven't seen in months, or like call this friend to hang out. Or it could be even a self-care, like go to the gym and actually complete the workout, or it can be even like try that new workout class I've been wanting to try. I try to focus on fulfillment as well whenever I'm trying to figure out the daily highlight, aka the signal for my day. Because I realize that if I feel fulfilled during that day, it actually creates this like positive positive habit loop that helps me get more things done overall during that day. And when I get like my daily highlight done, I just feel successful, and I just like tackle other tasks that are waiting for me to get them. Oh my god, I was about to spill my water. Wow. Anyway, when I get done my daily highlight, I just feel more successful. So I like start to tackle other tasks that are waiting for my attention. And it also helped me like with my perfectionist mindset a lot, because like by allowing myself to set daily highlights that are not related to work, it cured actually the toxic relationship I had with work. Because like I used to feel like, I still feel like that some days. Like if I don't work that day is a wasted opportunity. But now, like obviously during the times where I'm more focused on work, I pick my daily highlights that are related to work. But like during the weekends, I try deliberately not to pick something that is based on work, so that I can remind myself that my life is not only measured by the financial success or the work-related success that I have. You know, I'm deliberately trying to remind myself that there is life outside of work. I know it sounds crazy. I know it. I'm working on it. I think like this daily highlight practice allows you to apply the signal versus noise concept into your life while chasing fulfillment instead of toxic productivity. So the step 3 is everything else becomes just a noise. Once you've identified your daily highlight, everything else on that list is essentially a noise. It doesn't mean that it's not important, or it doesn't mean that you will not do it during that day. It just means that it's just not the focus of your day. That's it. And you have to protect that signal at all cost. You have to protect that daily highlight at all cost, because it's the thing that is going to make today a win. So we want to make today a win. Therefore, we're going to get that daily highlight done. If someone, for example, asks you to do something that it would take time away from your signal, you would just say no. If an email or message comes in that's not urgent, but feels urgent at that moment, you recognize it because it's not your daily highlight. So that's a noise. And I realize this is like how high performers actually work. Like they don't try to do everything. They just identify the signal and they protect it at all costs. It's not that like they're able to focus longer or they're like more motivated, but they have an extreme ability to identify what matters now versus not. Now, it can be even an important task that need to get later that day, but that's fine. They're thinking, what do I need to get done right now in this moment? And I think this is one of the definitive characters of high performers that I definitely lack. And in my opinion, if you're an overthinker like me with this daily highlight practice, it allows you to protect that energy and protect your focus. Okay, so now you know what to work on. But how do you keep the engine running hot once you start it? Here's what I actually realized struggling with this for years, and that is task switching kills your momentum. And I mean like literally kills it, you know? Every single time I stop working, even if it's just like a 5-minute break, my engine cools down. And when I like try to start again, I'm not picking up from the place that I left it off. I'm like restarting the engine essentially. And I have to like reorient myself like, oh wait, what was I doing? Where was I? What was I thinking about? And it's almost like trying to start a cold engine from scratch, and it just doesn't want to go. What I realize is that this is especially true if you have ADHD. Breaks are indeed task switchers. Task switching, context switching. Everyone says like, take a break and come back like refreshed to your work, right? But for me, going actually from work to break, that's a task switch, and it completely ruins my momentum. And for years, I told to myself that I needed to take breaks between my work sessions to restore the energy and to not make myself burn out. But I realized that actually forcing myself to take break while I'm in the flow is what's causing me to burn out. And I would try like different lengths of Pomodoro methods, like 90 minutes, 45 minutes, 25 minutes, but they will not work because I cannot predict how my flow will work. My brain will flow when it's flowing, and when it's not, it's not. I cannot control it. And like forcing myself to take breaks between like certain minutes was just like causing me to break that momentum. So what I do right now is a little different. And I think this will relate to you if you're neurodivergent. So the solution one is follow your energy, not the clock. So most productivity advice tells you to like eat the frog, do the hardest thing in the day, first tackle it so that your day is easy and you feel accomplished. But that does actually not work with me at all, because the problem with that is that if you're not in the right headspace, like if your energy isn't aligned with that task, you're going to fight yourself with it the whole time. Non-ADHD people say like, oh, once you just start, it just flows. But it does not with me, okay? If I'm not in the same energy as that task, like we're not in the same wavelength, no matter how long I try, I would just sit and stare at it and cry. That like trying to do the thing that I'm not wanting to do or not aligned to do right now, like drains the energy that I have for that day and just like kills the momentum, and work sucks. So instead what I do is that I follow my energy. I basically look at my sprints, which I'll explain in a second, and ask myself, what am I actually in the mood to work on right now? Not necessarily what I should work on, but what I am in the mood right now. Like what is easier right now for me to get things done? Because like when I'm working on something that interests me, I'm not fighting resistant. I'm actually like flowing, building momentum, and it's way easier to concentrate. And that momentum carries over like everything else. And you might be thinking that, okay, then if you're just doing the things that you want to do, like what about the daily highlight that you mentioned? Like what about the thing that you have to get done, right? So I have this rule. Every day I work like from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. during my work days, and I have a deadline. So since I'm going to stop working at 9 p.m. till 4 p.m., I can do the things that I'm more interested in from my to-do list. But the 4 p.m. is the deadline. From 4 p.m., I protect that 5-hour block and no matter what. And from there, if I haven't tackled my daily highlight, I tackle it. So I have like a proper time zone where I focus on the daily highlight. But the rest of the time, I can work on the things that I want. And if I want to do the daily highlight, then I'll do it. If not, I'll work on something else. By like creating a deadline of like till when I can focus on what, it prevented me from like procrastinating it entirely, because I can go into the spiral of things and I can be like working on a relevant project like for 12 hours if nobody stopped me, if that makes sense. And also because I have like that 9 p.m. deadline at the end of my day, it also prevents me from pulling an all-nighter because I know I have to sleep. So till 9 p.m. I can work, and everything beyond 9 p.m. is just automatically needs to get done the next day. So if I don't want to suffer next day, I have to get done till 9 p.m. So I create that fake deadline for myself, because without deadlines, I don't know, I just cannot feel the urge to do the thing. And solution 2 is the sprinting method. How do you actually structure your work so you're not constantly task switching? This is where the sprint method comes in, and this has been a game changer. I've been talking about it in my last videos quite a lot. So a lot of productivity methods tells you to time block, right? Like from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m., I'm going to do this thing. From 11 to 12, I'm going to do this. And from 12 to this, I'm going to do this. But the problem with time blocking is that it is rigid. And it doesn't work when your energy and performance varies so much day to day, like especially if you have ADHD. And when I time block, I would either cut off that like 8-hour flow because it's time for a break, or I feel like a failure on the days where I'm not following the plan. So instead, I use sprints, and here's how it works. Basically, you categorize your tasks by type and not by time. Instead of saying like, I'm going to work on this from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m., what I do is that I group my tasks into categories based on what kind of brain power they need from me. Anything that requires a similar energy or like brain power is categorized into the same group. So mine are sprint 1 is urgent, basically things that are on fire, needs my immediate attention. These are probably things that I've been procrastinating on and now they become urgent. And sprint 2 are deadlines, things with actual deadlines coming up. If I procrastinate on them too much, they jump to the sprint 1 urgent category. And sprint 3 is admin. These are emails, scheduling, organizing, the adult responsibility stuff that I freaking hate. And the sprint 4 is creative. This is my favorite. This is content creation, strategy, the fun stuff, idea generation, all that stuff. But your sprint categories will be unique to you. I mean, I'm a content creator, so if you have a different job, obviously the sprint categories will be different, but you can customize them. And step 2 is you treat entire sprint like one task. This is the key part, okay? So I don't look at my sprint 1 and think, okay, in my sprint 1, I have 10 different tasks. I have to do this, and this. How I look at it is that sprint 1 is just like a one chunk of task, if that makes sense. So when I sit down, I'm not thinking, okay, let me tackle from this task. I think about, okay, I'm in sprint 1. Let's go through the things in the sprint 1. And I also don't stop until the sprint is done, unless I'm like dying and I'm suffering and I just don't want to do it anymore. I try to go through the sprint all of the tasks at once. It prevents the task switching. Once the energy is on, I'm working on that thing. And if I'm going to switch between sprints, which means I'm going to do a task that requires different power, brain power from me, I'm going to restart the engine from scratch. So to prevent that, I go through each sprint category one by one. And because I'm not stopping every time I finish something small like a task, I stay in flow and I keep the engine hot. For example, like yesterday, I sat down to work on sprint 2 deadlines. I had a project I've been avoiding for so long, and I got into the flow mode where like for 6 hours, I literally forgot to eat, to drink something. I didn't even use the toilet, but I got that thing done. If I had like time blocked 2 hours for this project, I would have probably not finished it. But because I treat it as a sprint, it just works. I know it sounds intense, but if you're ADHD or neurodivergent, or if you realize that other methods are not working for you, then why not try? Why not give this a try? It is extreme, but other things are not working for you. So why not treat the brain the way it works? Step 3 is visual board, not a list. In Kaizen, the great thing about this is that you can view your sprints as a board, like a Kanban board. So instead of like seeing 47 individual tasks staring at me, I just like see 4 categories, and it's quite like visual, and it's easy to move things around as well. And I feel like this is like way less overwhelming. I'm a very visual person, and when I see a table, like a list of tasks, like 50 tasks, just like a static table in front of me, I don't know, it just feels so overwhelming. It feels so serious, if that makes sense. When I can like see 4 different categories, visual, and I can move things around, it just feels way more manageable. Like it's way easier to organize things in my head. Like I always struggled with the classic view like of lists, task lists that every single app uses, and Kaizen solved this for me. And the order I tackle sprints change depending on my energy. Like sometimes I combine sprint 1 and 2 like in one chunk. Sometimes I do 1 and 4, or sometimes I just do the 3 alone. Like you can switch between them, but the structure is there and the categories are there, and it's way easier to, I think, categorize and also control your attention, in my opinion. Like if a email pops up, you're like, okay, this is sprint 3 admin category. I'm working on sprint 1 right now, therefore it's not the focus. So it really helped me with the distractions a lot. So if this video resonated with you, if you want to try the sprinting method, I want you to check out Kaizen. Go to my website, ruriohama.com, to learn more and grab the Kaizen system. If you nodded along thinking, yes, this is exactly my problem, if your problems always fall apart after a week, and if you're tired of spending hours trying to figure out what to work on, and if you have ADHD and nothing works for your brain, and you want something that works and you can stop thinking about how to be productive and actually execute things, then Kaizen system is, I think, a perfect fit for you. Because, you just learn this framework, the activation energy, signal versus noise, and sprinting framework. To be honest, like you can spend hours or maybe days building this on Notion. I don't think it's like rocket science. If you know how to create Notion systems, you can create it. But creating it is going to cause a lot of time from you. If you get the Kaizen system, you can start now, and over 700 people are already using it, and I'm getting so much feedback, and people are quite happy with it, which makes me happy. And I really believe the system gives you the mental space. When you get the system, you get everything I explained, the brain dump, where you can dump your thoughts and turn them into tasks. You get the daily highlight to identify your signal, the sprint system. We also have a auto urgency calculator where it tells you whether to focus on this task right now or not, which is very helpful. Time tracking, weekly review dashboard, and you can customize it also for your life as well. And another cool feature is the lead day system. So the system auto calculates when each subtask needs to be done and tells you what to focus on right now. We also have the 2 modes that I mentioned, simple versus advanced, and they're synced so that you can get started with the simple version. I created this so that we minimize the learning curve, because whenever you're like learning a new system, it's like quite annoying to go through that. But because there's like a simple version, you can just start today and you can figure it out later, the more advanced features. And my favorite feature is the time tracking comparison. We are terrible at estimating time, especially me. I avoid like tasks for weeks thinking that it's going to take 2 hours, and when I get it done, it's like 10 minutes, and I'm like, why did I avoid this so long? And I repeat it again and again and again. So to avoid this, I actually created a feature where you can track your estimated time and actual time for each task type, so that you can see how long you're always estimating that specific task takes and how it actually takes. And you build a database of how long things actually take you. So you stop over planning, you stop under planning, and you finally develop a sense of time, which is crazy. Like genuinely, Kaizen system helped me so much with my life. So if you're interested, go to ruriohama.com kaizen.com, and we have a Black Friday sale going on right now. So use the code Black Friday. But don't forget, the Black Friday code is going to be available only for the first 100 people. So if you're seeing this video early, you are lucky. Check it out. And when you get it, you're going to get lifetime access to all future updates, as well as a Discord community where I'm also in. You can ask me questions there. And yeah, if you have any questions about the Kaizen system, let me know in the comments below. I would love to answer them. And thank you for supporting me in this journey. I'm really excited what Kaizen can become. Right now, it is hosted in Notion, but I believe as we grow the community and as we grow the number of users, it can become a way cooler thing. Maybe an app in the future. That's like one of my big dreams. My mission is to like help stop people feeling this guilt and this like procrastination cycle that I was already in, and always questioning like, why am I not able to get things done that I want to do? I know I have potential, that kind of like self-doubt. So don't forget to check out Kaizen. And if you wonder why you always make plans but never follow through them, like always abandon them, check this video right here. See you soon. Don't forget to subscribe.